Hello everyone, I want again to welcome you to a continuation from the last lesson. Remember I mentioned that in this lesson we'll pick up from where we left in the last lesson. Of course, we are talking about preparation before an assignment as an interpreter. Of course, an assignment involving voicing. So the next thing to do as a preparation before assignment, you ask yourself this question: Will there be a need to use equipment? For example, you ask yourself, will lighting change during the event? So change of lighting means, remember in voicing, we are using our eyes to perceive information because the speaker is using the signs. So there must be appropriate lighting for you to be able to see every single sign that comes from the speaker. So you ask yourself whether we'll have the change in lighting so that you prepare yourself how you'll deal with such like situations. So another thing you have to ask yourself is, will the speaker be moving around? Remember, we have different types of speakers. We have those ones who get stationed at one position. We have those ones that move around as they give their speech. So you have to understand which type of speaker will be in the event so that you get prepared about the movements, if there will be, so that you are able to position yourself in the manner that you see all the signs from a speaker who moves around. So you also check all the microphones. Remember, you are going to voice, and for appropriate voicing, of course, to reach the audience, there must be a good and well connected, of course, speakers, that's microphones, so that the voices reach the audience the way it's expected. We talk about if there are wires, or we have batteries, we have sight lines, if we have a seating, of course, arrangement is very important. Remember, seating arrangement in a deaf community affects how the information will be, of course, perceived by the audience. So you make sure that all these things are put in place before engaging yourself in such like events. So again, another thing as interpreter that we have to prepare in time before the assignment, we talk about does the speaker want audience questions or maybe comments or ambient noise? We talk about, or maybe interruptions signed during the presentations. So, or is the interpreter there strictly to voice? So you have to analyze yourself and understand the event. Are you only requested to come and voice, or will have the engagement between the speaker, of course the signing speaker, and the hearing audience, so that you are able to know at what specific time will you now start interpreting, of course, questions from the audience, so that the speaker can be able to respond appropriately. Another thing we talk about, how does the presenter want, of course, to handle interpreter needing clarification or maybe repetition. So you must understand how the speaker will use you when it comes to maybe wanting to engage him or herself with the audience, or maybe if there is a need for repeating. So you have to understand that. The next thing we have to know that you ask yourself, how long is the presentation? You can't be able to interpret a whole day in the event alone. So get to know, is it a 20 minutes event, 1 hour, 4 hours, the whole day? So make sure you prepare early. So if it's the whole day, then there must be need to either be to have, of course, another interpreter so that you can take to make the event flow. Otherwise, no single interpreter can interpret such events or voice for the whole day unless you don't want to deliver to the audience. So make sure you analyze that one and you understand fully about the length of the presentation. You also ask yourself these questions. Will there be audience participation? Maybe question and answer sessions. So work out the logistics of interpreting for audience or members. So make sure you understand that part. So will you need a team or teams? Just like I mentioned, do you need a team so that you work together, you collaborate, you work together to ensure that the event is lively? Because voicing requires soberness. So in time you get tired, then there must be a turn take. So someone else comes to to replace you as you refresh yourself. So that's very important, of course, in interpretation. So if we'll have a team, as I've said, discuss switching method. After how long will you switch? Talk about in terms of feeds, how will you take the meals? Talk about positioning. How will you position yourself if you are a team in such like an event so that you participate fully? So analyze all those things before the material day, before engaging yourself in an assignment. So the last thing, as interpreters, we must prepare, we must have before an assignment. We talk about get copies of written text in advance. Make sure you have a clue on what is going to be discussed about. So maybe you get a list of names of people that will be mentioned. Of course, in a religious context, maybe you are interpreting, you're going to voice in a church service. We have a church event and you're going to voice. So you talk about know which version of the Bible is going to be used. So the holy readings will be used in the event. You ask yourself that question. So during a church event, you must analyze and understand whether the Holy Scriptures will be used. So read the passage if there will be. Read that passage from the Bible, the Holy book that is going to be used, so that you understand what the speaker will talk about. So in advance, for example, why we read that text in advance, so that we get to know the pronunciation part of it. If there are names, get to know the names, specific names that will be mentioned, especially ones with unusual spellings. So make sure you get all these things we have talked about. Now, we as interpreters, I know we are different in terms of interpreting, in terms of taking the knowledge, in terms of doing everything. We are never the same. A very small advice to all of us interpreters: never take or accept any appointment, whether it involves interpreting or voicing, before preparing yourself. Preparation is a key thing to success in any event. So make sure, brothers and sisters, that before signing or voicing in an event, make sure you prepare or analyze all these things we have talked about. Analyze all of them. Select those ones that you know will fit the event. Practice on them before you engage yourself in that event. We don't want an unnecessary or petty embarrassment from interpreters. That you accept an appointment, you go to an event, then all of a sudden you can't interpret, you can't voice, because you never prepared well. So preparation is a key thing to success. So we'll discuss much, especially when it comes to module number 4. Of course, that's interpretation. We'll share a lot concerning interpretation, so that not only we have the knowledge and skills to interpret, but also to be able to be part and parcel of the deaf community, so that they feel and we feel them, so that we are one thing to ensure that we bring about inclusion fully with the society. See you in the next lesson.